Larry Slagle with another Candidates Forum of Massillon Magazine. I'm here today with Paul Manson, councilperson at large for the city of Massillon, who's on the ballot for November the 7th, 2017. How you doing, Paul?
Good, Larry.
And you've been on council for 8 terms now?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on for 7.
7?
This would be 8. I've been in there 14 years.
And
my 14.
How have you liked it in those 14 years?
Sometimes and sometimes not.
So what's encouraged you to run again then?
Well, one of the number one things is from the time I got on council, we went through a period, and you were a councilman too, where if revenue wasn't declining, it was not keeping up with the cost of operating the city. And we went from the late 90s from a significant carryover to it was continuously decreasing to the point after the 2007, 8, 9 collapse. It was a real mess. And we even had some years in there where we probably, we may have even lost revenue, I'm not sure, but it was not growing, was not keeping pace.
And what did the city do to respond to that?
Well, as you know, we now have a streets levy. We took that to the residents of Massillon 3 times before we finally got that passed. But it was an absolute necessity. What we were doing during that time period of the decline and the carryover is we were using more and more of the carryover for capital improvement projects. And we were continuously reducing the amount of money that we were spending on capital improvements. And because of that, we allowed our infrastructure to deteriorate. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, you could look around, drive around town, and you could see the things with the streets, but people don't know what went on with even bridges and sewers and everything.
And so what benefits have the taxpayer gotten from that streets levy?
Okay, now this is just the first year, and we projected, to have about 1 to 1.2 million in revenue. I think we were projecting maybe $1 million starting out, but it's going to be a little higher than that, I believe. We just started. We had the engineering department. They graded every street in town from 1 to 5, 5 being worse. And we just started as the money came in. We started planning. We figured we'd have about $600,000 to $800,000 by the time we got into the paving season. And we just started doing some in every ward, picking the worst streets. Not maybe the worst every time. Maybe sometimes to make things more efficient, get more bang for your buck. Maybe we did an area where streets are bad. Maybe not every one of them was the worst, but we started out with, that way, working on them. And like I said, we were trying to do a little bit in every ward, so the people in the city in every ward saw something going on.
And the grates were a problem too.
Grates are a big problem. That's probably, they're tired of hearing me on that, and that has been a pet peeve of mine. Those grates, we have a lot of them with metal plates on them right now. I think they're not only, is the infrastructure bad, but they're also a safety problem, I feel. They went so far as to put like reflectors on the side of the road where these grates were and stuff, so the snow crews
could avoid
wouldn't hit them. I mean, you get a salt truck full of salt going 20 mile an hour plowing the street, and they catch one of those plates, anything could happen.
Right.
Could injure the people in the truck, could injure people in another car, could even fly out the street and hit a house almost in some areas. So that's really bothered me. We know the projects, as far as the streets. When we do a street, we do catch basins. That's part of it. You go in first and do, if there's water lines need done in the area or storm sewers need done, you do that stuff, and then when you're done, then you repave the street. But my thing is, we have a lot of streets in Massillon that are not failing. They may not need pay for 10 or 15 years, but they have these catch basin problems, some of them. Well, I think it's pretty easy to make your infrastructure look better if you take care of some of those things that you're not gonna get to for 10 years, but take care of them. That's why I've been after that so much. I'm not worried about them when they're part of a project, because I know they will be taken care of.
So that's something the citizens obviously have seen occurring over the past several months since the levy was passed.
Yes.
Or the tax increase.
Yes,
And that'll continue now, because that's,
absolutely,
they'll keep providing funds for those type of projects.
right.
Now, there must be other issues that you're faced and you think will be important to the citizens and the taxpayers and the voters for November 7th that you may want to discuss?
Yeah, I mentioned the fire station here on the northeast side and the reservoir.
And what do you think about those two issues?
Well, the priority on that for me is the fire station. I believe we need to resolve that. I believe there should be a fire station in that area, and it would be cheaper for us to utilize the one we have, rehab the one we have, and we could give the service to that area.
Are there proposals in that regard being
Well, we
presented?
are looking, hopefully we will get some money in the budget to start on that. We've had that studied, we know how much it's gonna cost. They're actually talking about a little extension on the back of that, and they're talking about how to man it.
And that's when they're located on Wells Road,
Wills Road, yes.
right by Hankins intersection.
Yes.
What about the reservoir?
Well, the reservoir, you know, we've been having meetings, and mainly, I'm just listening
Okay.
at this point in time. I mean, there are people that want to restore the reservoir to what, you know, it originally was, and then there's other people that are saying, you know, it's gonna cost too much. I'm just listening. Sometime here in probably the next month or so, we're going to have to make a decision, and I'll make my decision then.
What kind of, what is in the next month that'll trigger this,
Well, we have to have something by the end of the year,
according to what?
according to ODNR,
Okay.
Ohio Department of Natural Resources. We have to have some kind of plan in place for it.
And what is the problem that has to be addressed according to ODNR?
Well, what they want is another layer of sandstone taken out of the spillway, okay? And then that, they would say it's not any problem safety-wise from that point on. So, I guess what they're saying is either we have to take care of it, improve it where it's at, or take it down to that level and go from there.
And if it were taken down to the level of one more layer of sandstone, what would that mean to the water behind that?
Well, it would look pretty much just like it is right today. There would be that stream flowing through it. It just, I think, probably most people wouldn't even notice that it was another layer lower.
But it'd just be a stream as opposed to
It'd
a
be a stream, but it would be still running over the spillway.
And you don't have any idea how that's gonna pan out?
No, but I mean, I'm listening to people, and
I think the estimates have varied from over $1 million to almost $4 million or plus.
yes, there are 3 plans that were proposed. The first one just, it would be take another layer off and just have the stream running through there. Would be a 1.1, 1.2 million.
Would that be
something.
doing anything with the land behind it?
Yes, it would all, eventually that would probably look pretty much like the park below the spillway.
South Signal.
You know, the dirt and stuff that is in there, the silt, it's not a problem as far as being contaminated. So we could move that around on site. We wouldn't have to haul all that away. So it'd be a case of
Making it
basically
more park-like.
re-landscaping it like a park.
Okay. And the other, the more expensive option of,
Well, there's one plan there that also would have a small, I don't know if you would call it a pond, but there would be a small pond or lake of some kind behind there. And then the other one would be to take it right back to what it originally was.
of course, either of those, that'll always have the problem of that we faced with since you and I were kids, and you could actually skate. And when I first grew up, you could actually swim in the reservoir, and people did. You catch
Yeah.
fish, but that was back when you didn't know about that drainage from the other allotments to the
Right.
north and the east.
Yeah, I think because of construction over time, that problem of silt and stuff compounded itself.
Mhm.
But even if they wouldn't have done anything, it still would have been a problem at some point in time.
Yeah.
You have a pond or a lake like that, occasionally you have to drain them down and dig them out.
Right.
That's just what it amounts to.
So, what, if you look back on your career in city council, what would you say then would be your most proud accomplishment while being there?
Proud accomplishment of being there. Well, for quite a long time, I believed that we needed to do something with our revenue. And I think this street levy was a big one. I mean, people don't like taxes, I understand that. But
We need
the
funds to
city's
operate.
growing, yes, we need funds to operate, and the infrastructure was suffering. We've done another thing. Okay, one other thing I'd like to mention, and you were still there when we really started getting into this a little bit, was another upgrade for the wastewater treatment plant.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't probably think wastewater treatment plant, you know, what's that mean?
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you what, that's probably the most important thing for business development in this area.
Right.
I mean, and you know it, when they came to us, what would it have been, like 3-4 years ago when you were
A
still
little
there,
longer,
4 years ago?
Probably 6, but
But anyhow, they came with a couple of plans on the upgrade, and one of them was to upgrade it, and they were gonna do about an $18 million plan, and then there was another one that would have been basically the Cadillac, and that was like 24 million. We were talking, and you and I and a number of other people said, well, why aren't we doing the top
right, spend the money
upgrade?
now.
They were saying, you know, there were gonna be more things coming down the line from the EPA and stuff as far as, what we had to remove from the wastewater and stuff like that, and we said, why do the 18 and then have to turn around another 10 years or 15 years and do something else when things get more costly? Let's do it now. And we supported that. And we have plenty of capacity for development.
So
Yeah,
that was,
we're going
that was a
to
good
need it.
decision then.
That was a very
Great
good
decision.
decision. Yes.
Well, that's a thing to be proud of, because sometimes there's a lot of heat, spending more money. People say, why did you spend more money? But really, when you look at it for the future, it saved money
Right.
and also increased. So why should people vote for you?
Because I'm supportive of development.
Okay.
We are a city. If we didn't have a city around here, there'd be one to form a city, have a city. You know, our job is to provide infrastructure for development.
Right.
We're the hub for like Western Stark County. Almost 75% of the W-2s that are filed in the city of MASSON are filed by people that live outside of MASSON but work in MASSON. Now, that shows you that we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're providing industrial land and commercial land, and the people are coming to work in the city.
Yeah. Well, that's been a very long time for you to be there, 14 years, not even close to being the longest serving though, is he yet?
I don't believe, but I don't know. I
You might be
kept
getting there.
track. Yeah, I could be getting there. I don't keep track of that stuff.
But if you still like it, you'll keep doing it, right?
Well, some days I do, some days I don't.
Okay. Well, I've been with Paul Manson, council person at large for the city of Massillon. This is an election that's coming up on November the 7th, so as every good American should do, make sure you vote. Thank you very much, Paul. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Larry.
This has been Larry Slagle with another Candidates Forum on Massillon Magazine.